What's up, everybody, and welcome on back to the My Side of Things podcast. This is now episode 4. I'm your host, as always, Ash. We got a whole lot of things to get to in the docket today, including a look back at my last year's predictions for the WrestleMania 41 match card. It's a very, very interesting one, to say the least. We're also going to be talking about, was Jay the correct winner to win the Royal Rumble? I know that it's a few months out now, but we need to have a little discussion about this because of the last episode discussion. We're also going to be talking about, is Bianca still involved in this Jade storyline? It's looking like WWE is possibly leading us that way. Then we're also going to be talking about the new Smackdown Tag Team Champions, and was this the correct decision? Was it a bit too soon, or are they going to be getting dethroned potentially soon? And then we're going to be doing speaking of dethroning, who would be dethroning every WWE champion? And let me tell you right now, there is a long list of them. My goodness, there are a lot of WWE champions. And then we're talking a little AEW today, as well as regards to who will be facing Kenny Omega at Wrestle Dynasty. And to end the show off, we're going to be talking about who will enter and win the 2025 Owen Hart Cup. But let's go ahead and start things off with a look back to my last year's WrestleMania picks. Before we do get into that, though, if you're listening to this on Spotify and you want to see the YouTube version, make sure you hit the link in the description. If you want to see if you're on YouTube, you want to listen to the Spotify version because you'd rather close your phone, go ahead and hit that link in the description to go check that out. But now let's go ahead and get to a look back at my last year's WrestleMania match card picks. I can't believe I almost forgot my dang hat. It's my lucky hat right here. But going into these WrestleMania 41 predictions, I had made this around October 7th, and I did not change any of the champions. I also used the past WrestleMania's format and said, okay, we're going to be having 14 matches, 7 night 1, 7 night 2. And my first match was going to be Liv versus Lyra Valkyria. I actually picked her as the Royal Rumble winner for this year. I thought they were going to be pushing new talent with the Royal Rumble. Sadly, they ended up using Charlotte Flair. I'm not too mad at it in the slightest, but I would have loved to see Lyra potentially get that win. If they didn't have like the mid-card belt, so she did get to be the mid-card champion, so that was pretty cool. But I probably would have picked her to win the Rumble just because I think she has a lot of talent, and I honestly would have loved to have seen a match between both Lyra and Liv. I feel like Liv is such an amazing seller that she would have worked wonders with Lyra Valkyria. I don't really know how the feud would have looked going into WrestleMania. Maybe it isn't like the biggest feud in the world, but I think it would have been a pretty dang good match nonetheless. Maybe you could have had her win the Chamber, though, so it's not that long of a feud. Next match I had happening was Jey Uso, IC champion, versus Dominic Mysterio. Yes, this is how long ago this was. Jey Uso was still your IC champion, and I actually had Dominic Mysterio winning this match. I would have loved to have seen like a big WrestleMania moment for Dominic Mysterio. I hope that he still does have one this year, although there's very real possibility that he might get left off the card, unless what I think is going to happen happens, and we will get into that in a little bit when we do like our whole dethrone every champion. But I would have loved to have seen this match because I feel like this match would have been like just the most hated versus the most loved, and it would have just been a really, really good, possible even storyline going into WrestleMania. Obviously, Dominic Mysterio wouldn't be able to talk so much because the crowd wouldn't let him talk, but Jey Uso definitely would have been playing into that. You could have even had Rhea Ripley get involved in this whole kind of thing because Rhea's would have been rocking with Jey. Maybe you have Lyra get involved because of this. Maybe you even have Rhea and Liv run it back. I didn't want that. That's why I didn't pick that. But I think Dom and Jey Uso would have honestly tore the house down, in my opinion. Next match I had happening was Xavier Woods turning heel on Kofi Kingston. So I was kind of right. I was about 50% right in that the New Day were going to turn heel. I just only picked 50% of them. I didn't pick both of them. But my thought process going in was that Xavier Woods was showing signs of turning heel, and Kofi Kingston wasn't around this time. He was trying to influence Kofi to do a lot of heel-esque things to win. So I thought what would have happened during the match during the Royal Rumble is that Kofi Kingston would have accidentally eliminated Xavier Woods. Xavier would have blamed this on him, and this would have turned to a big old feud between the two. Next up, we would have had the tag team champions of... Oh, I had Kofi Kingston winning that match, by the way. But next up, we would have had the tag team champions of Judgment Day's Finn and JD versus the Creed brothers versus two members of the Wyatt Six. I was hoping we would be doing more with the Wyatt Six around this time. We still haven't really done much with them, but I do still think there's a big storyline that's going to be happening very, very soon. But this match to me would have just been an absolutely phenomenal match, especially if it was like a tornado tag match, like a ladder match, something like that. I think these guys would just put on an absolute show, especially from what I've seen from the Creed brothers against the War Raiders. Oh my gosh, that was a freaking 5-star match of the year. Well, it was close enough to a 5-star match. I think this match would have tore the house down, in my opinion, as well. So many houses getting torn down for me. Why do bro, I am not Steph Curry, my goodness. If you know, you know. But yeah, I think it would have been a great match, though. Honestly, I would still love to see this match. Obviously, JD McDonough's probably not gonna be there because of his injury, but man, this match would have been so good. The next match was gonna be the inaugural United States or Intercontinental match. I didn't think they were going to add both the titles because it didn't really look like they were going to add both the titles. It kind of was like, maybe they won't add them. So the ones I had in this match were Chelsea Green and Michin, who I actually said were going to be my closest two to winning the belt, which is funny because they were the closest two to winning the very first United States Championship belt. And then I had Bayley and Naomi in this. Obviously, Naomi's not going to be in it now because she's getting chased around by Jade Cargill. And then I had Sonya and Zelina in this. Obviously, Sonya's not going to be in this because she's not even in WWE anymore, so it wouldn't have worked at all. But Zelina could have still been in it, and I think Zelina will be doing something with the United States Championship this WrestleMania. Hopefully, she's in some ladder match of sorts. Hopefully, there is a ladder match for that belt, and we can potentially see Zelina win it, although with Chelsea Green's new squad of her, Alba Fire, and Piper Nivens, it looks like she's probably going to hold that belt a little bit longer. I don't think she's losing the United States Championship anytime soon. Probably post WrestleMania, if that. The next match I had happening was Uncle Howdy was going to be taking down one of Bray Wyatt's oldest rivals, that being one Bryan Danielson. Yes, I thought he was going to get bought out by AEW or potentially even be leaving AEW. That's why he had like this whole career versus championship match against Swerve, and then he put his career on the line against anybody who would defeat him by saying that whenever he loses, that'll be his last match. I thought that's what he was kind of alluding to, was that he was going to be going back to WWE to have one final match, potentially with an Uncle Howdy, and it would have been a really good just match, in my opinion. I think it would have been the storyline would have been absolutely amazing with Uncle Howdy and a lot of with Uncle Howdy and Bryan Danielson, and a lot of callbacks to Bryan Danielson turning on Bray Wyatt when they were locked inside of that steel cage. And yeah, I would have loved the storyline. I really would have loved it, but probably not going to do it anytime soon. Maybe there's always next year we could do it. Maybe there's sometime later on this year that we could do it. Maybe it won't happen at WrestleMania. I honestly just would love to see the storyline play out. And this is why I also still would have loved to see a wrestling league incorporated into all of wrestling. I was gonna be like WBA, but that doesn't make any sense. It's National Basketball Association, not Wrestling Basketball Association. National Wrestling Association. There we go. And WA is already literally a thing. I dropped my hat. Oh no, my lucky hat. Which way does it go? There we go. And then my main event of night one was going to be Gunther versus the Elimination Chamber winner of John Cena. Now, it's crazy how I predicted John Cena to turn heel, but I predicted John Cena to win the Elimination Chamber months before this whole John Cena heel turn that I predicted. What the heck? I was this close. I was this close. And now, mind you, I don't even know why he still turned heel. You won the dang chamber, but whatever, man. John Cena, though, I had him winning the Elimination Chamber and going on to face Gunther. I thought he was going to have like a really big match with him because Gunther wants the match with John Cena. I feel like John Cena also has said that he wants the match with Gunther. I think it'd be just an absolutely amazing match. We've seen that, like, with AJ Styles, we thought it wouldn't be a good match, and it turned out to be arguably John Cena's best match of his career, and arguably AJ Styles' best match, at least of his WWE career. I think this would have been just as good. I think the feud would have been way better going into WrestleMania than this current Jay Gunther feud. Honestly, I think it would have been the best feud going into WrestleMania, in my opinion. And there could have even been a really good argument for it main eventing night 2 instead of main eventing night 1. If that would have been the case, I would have really loved that because I've said for a while now the World Heavyweight Championship is just so slapped in the face that I feel like it needs either bigger stars or I don't know, man. It feels wrong what we're doing with the World Heavyweight title. We literally had Gunther out there begging for matches at one point in time. I would have loved to see John Cena win the Elimination Chamber and go right after Gunther and say, I'm taking that belt off you, because while you claim all these things about how, you care for the ring and all that, you really don't care for the, you really don't care for the sport because you disrespect every single person that ever goes against you. So I would have loved it. And then for night 2, I had kicking off the night would have been Nia Jax versus Charlotte. I thought Charlotte was going to be the Women's Elimination Chamber winner. And I thought Nia Jax was going to have like this big old faction around her of Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, Tiffany Stratton. I thought Tiffany Stratton would either A, fail her cash in, or B, cash in at WrestleMania against or during the Nia Charlotte match and go on to kind of steal the win, similar to how Seth Rollins stole the win when it was Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, and that was going to lead to a Tiffany Stratton Charlotte feud instead of Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte this year at WrestleMania. I would have preferred that a lot more, especially because you give Nia like a really dominant reign. You allow her to go into WrestleMania with the bell. Now Nia's probably not even going to be on the WrestleMania card, which really sucks because I do think she's one of, if not the best woman in wrestling in WWE right now. I thought she was the best champion of 2024, and I would have loved to have seen her get her respect because of the fact that, she's come a long way from what people have said is the quote-unquote most dangerous wrestler to now being one of the best wrestlers in the company. So I would have loved to have seen it. Sadly, we didn't get that, though. Next up, it would have been Bianca versus Jade. This is when I was still believing that Bianca was the one that attacked Jade. Now, obviously, it looked like it's a whole different story, although, like I said, Bianca might still be involved. I had Bianca versus Jade happening at WrestleMania, though, but it looks like that one also may happen sometime down the line. I'm assuming maybe at Crown Jewel, maybe we get Bianca versus Jade, but I wouldn't want to see it there. I'd rather see it like SummerSlam or something like that. Next match we had was the Tongan Twins versus the Usos. I would have loved to have seen twin versus twin, and I obviously the Tongan Twins were the Smackdown Tag Team Champions around this time. Would have been just an absolutely amazing story to bring full circle of the Usos at 40. They were wrestling against each other, and then at 41, they were brought together. Funny enough, once again, this was before the whole bringing together of the Usos and Bloodline and all this stuff. I didn't even think they were going to come together. I mean, like, many people didn't think they were. Well, I think we kind of all assumed that at some point in time they might eventually get back together. This was like around the time that I thought it was going to be like more of a slow burn and not such a quick burn, but it was a very, very quick fire. Next up, we had Seth Rollins. Next up, I had Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. This could have happened. I could have been 1-for-1 at least, or I guess 1-for-14 at least. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, all these other predictions, I got them basically wrong, except maybe the next match wouldn't have been so wrong. But this probably would have been like before the main event. But Seth Rollins, CM Punk steel cage match. It did technically happen on Monday Night Raw. It just didn't happen at WrestleMania. I was hoping that we'd get this match. I still kind of would love to see this match over the triple threat. I just feel like the triple threat's kind of whatever, but I'm gonna get into that in a little bit again too. I don't know if we're ever going to get this one-on-one ever again. I think this might be the ending of this feud to happen at WrestleMania, just because, like, last year was probably the better opportunity, but obviously CM Punk was hurt, Seth Rollins was hurt, so he really couldn't do it. It sucks that we couldn't do it. I really wish we could have. It's going to be one of those, like, dang, we're just never going to get that moment ever again kind of things, and it does suck, but next up, we had LA Knight versus LA Knight is the current United States champion, which, funny enough, he is once again the current United States champion, versus Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, and AJ Styles in a fatal four-way. I think we can still get this match, just not with AJ Styles. There might be somebody else, like a Jimmy Uso, involved in this match. And I had Carmelo Hayes dethroning LA Knight at WrestleMania. I thought he was going to be booked a lot better around this time as well. Sadly, he isn't. But I did think that we were potentially going to be going towards a Carmelo Hayes WrestleMania win. I would have been so ecstatic for, because I think Carmelo Hayes has everything to be a superstar in WWE. I hope that WWE uses him right. But it's looking very iffy going forward. And it looks like he might have to leave the company, rebrand himself, and then come back. And hopefully when he does come back, they stop really doing the whole, we don't want to push you if you're under 5'10". If you're one of those shorter guys, you're not really going to get the biggest chances. You're not really going to get the biggest feuds. You're not really going to get the XYZs unless you're just like a super duper mega star that we just have to do it because we can't like not do it. It just wouldn't make sense. And then, whoops, I done clicked out. The next match we have two more matches. Next match would have been Solo versus Jacob. I think I'm going to be 1-for-1. I think this is going to be happening at WrestleMania. The writing is on the wall for Solo and Jacob. It looks like something's going to be happening between these two. Although I did love that whole moment where Jacob was cutting the promo and then Solo just goes, 5-2. That was so cool. I loved how it's him, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu. I really loved it. I can't believe so many people are turning on Jacob Fatu now. I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, and I seen so many people in USA's comment section talking about some Jacob Fatu just cuts the same promo every single time. He's so dang boring. He has the same moveset every single time. And it's like, bruh, can WWE fans just stop? Can we stop just hating on our own wrestlers, man? Oh my gosh, it's such an irritating thing that, pause for 2 seconds, like this whole WrestleMania predictions. I'll get into the last one in a second. it's such an irritating thing that it's like the IWC. I don't know why, because like I get called negative so much. I get called negative constantly. You're always complaining. You're always negative. You're always this. You're always that. This is the WWE fandom as a majority though, or you could say a minority, but I feel like it's a majority though, because Cody Rhodes won the championship. What happened? Everybody turns on him. Liv Morgan won the championship after everybody wanted her to win. What happened? Everybody turns on him. Jey Uso starts getting a big push to be in the World Heavyweight title scenes and like the top pictures. What happens? Everybody turns on him. Dominic Mysterio starts getting pushed. What happens? Everybody, like, once we start setting expectations and saying that, oh, Dominic Mysterio could be a World Heavyweight champion winner. He can win Money in the Bank. He can win the undisputed WWE championship. Now everyone's like, oh wait, no, hold on. Dominic Mysterio sucks. His mic works. My bad, I hit the mic. His mic work sucks. His ring work is boring. Like, why do we have to do this? Why does it always just have to be we are going to turn on every single dang WWE wrestler there is. We're just always going to do it, and we're never going to just be happy. Like, this is one of the things I've enjoyed about being a part of other wrestling fandoms like AEW, like Ring of Honor, like New Japan, etc., etc., etc. It feels like the people that get hated on are the ones that they just don't ever, that nobody cares about. It's not like, Jon Moxley gets pushed no, Jon Moxley, a lot of those aren't AEW fans. But it's not like, Daniel Garcia's having a bad run and everyone's just like, oh man, screw Daniel Garcia, bro. He's boring. Get him out of here. No, most people are just like, Daniel Garcia's had a pretty good run. I wonder who's gonna dethrone him. I think he's shown some potential, but like no one's like over here like bashing him, or like if Will Ospreay gets pushed, AEW fans aren't like, oh my god, he sucks, boo, get him out of here. No, he can't cut a promo at all. Or same thing with Jay White. Like, it's just WWE fans. It's just this fandom. Maybe I just haven't seen it from the other fandoms, but it feels like it's just WWE fans that every single time any one of theirs gets pushed, if it gets pushed too far, or if people start setting expectations to be higher than what like the others believed, now it's, oh, this person sucks. Why can't y'all just say the truth? You think Dominic Mysterio is great, but you don't think he's top tier. You think Jey Uso's great, but you don't think he's top tier. You don't gotta start saying that, oh, his mic skills and his ring skills suck, when you were the same person that was pushing this guy to begin with. Why does it always have to be a hateful thing? I don't understand that. Like, do you not love your own wrestlers? Like, I couldn't imagine being a fan of like a football team and saying, I want this guy gone, I want that guy gone, I want that guy gone, I want this guy gone. And it's like, it's just so weird. But then you'll have WWE fans like, or if anybody else says it about these wrestlers, then all WWE fans come to their aid. And it's like, okay, so you can just talk the most shit about these wrestlers. You can say some of the most craziest things, but let anybody else speak on them and it's a problem. It's like, what? No. Maybe don't talk crazy about your own wrestlers. Like, it's what I tell my students all the time, that if you're going to talk a certain way to your friend, don't talk this way to your friend in front of other people that aren't your guys' friend, because then people are going to think that it's okay to talk to this person like that and a big old fight's going to happen, etc., etc. Same thing happens here, that WWE fans want to talk so crazy about their wrestlers, but once somebody else does it, now it's an issue. Well, don't do it publicly. Like, that's the sadder part. Y'all do it publicly. It won't even be like in like Discord or something like that. It'll be like just right in the comment section where everybody can see. I don't get it. But to get back to this WrestleMania predictions, my last one, main event, was part 3 of Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. I know it's going to be main eventing 3 years in a row. I just didn't see them doing anything else. This was before Bad Blood. This was before John Cena's announcement and all that stuff. So I didn't think John Cena was going to be facing Cody Rhodes, and I really didn't want to see face versus face. I did not see them doing anybody else. I was like, maybe CM Punk could, but I was like, it's probably going to be Roman. I think Triple H is going to want to do what Vince didn't do, which is John Cena versus Rock part 3, which is John Cena versus Randy at WrestleMania. I think he was going to want to get these part 3s out of the way while Cody and Roman are still here, while Cody and Roman are still at their peaks. And I thought it was going to be just 3 back-to-back. It would have been a clean match this time, unlike last time where it wasn't a clean match. And I would have been super excited for it, man. I would have been, because I think Roman Reigns' best match in WWE and Cody, one of Cody's top 5 matches, but I think Roman's best match of all time, Roman versus Cody, WrestleMania 39. I think this would have been just as good, if not even better, now that nobody's getting involved. I will say, I am 1 for 1 so far, because I think Solo versus Jacob does happen at WrestleMania. None of the other ones are obviously going to be happening. Maybe maybe we still somehow get Seth versus Punk. And maybe Roman Reigns decides, you know what? I don't like Drew McIntyre, man. I don't like your face. I'm going to punch you right in the face. And then Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre does happen, which you probably should punch him first and not CM Punk. But what are you going to do, man? Apparently Roman Reigns says, hey, hold on. You can talk about me. But once you start getting near my wise man, you start touching him the way I touch him. No. And if you think that's crazy, just go look at that video where Roman Reigns picked up Paul Heyman's chin and looked him in the eyes. Oh, man. You got to get someone that looks at you the way Roman looks at Paul Heyman. Oh, man. But speaking of this whole, world title scene, let's go so I can talk about let's go ahead and talk about, was Jey Uso the correct Royal Rumble winner? Now, I want to make this clear, because I know I just said hating on your own wrestlers. I am not hating on Jey Uso by any way, shape, or form. I love that Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble. I'm so happy for Jey Uso winning it. I think he's one of my favorite Royal Rumble winners of all time. My dang hat keeps dropping, man. I don't know why it keeps dropping. But I really love that Jey Uso did win the Royal Rumble, and I was super excited for him to win at WrestleMania. I still think he is going to be winning at WrestleMania. I just think there was a much better play here. And I think the play was, I was looking back at my TikToks a few days ago, and I seen that I had a TikTok where I said that Seth Rollins was going to be Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, and I would have thrown Roman Reigns eventually into it. Well, now, obviously, because Roman Reigns is involved in the storyline, I would have thrown Roman into it. But I said that I think Seth Rollins should have dethroned. My bad. I thought that CM Punk was going to be winning the Royal Rumble. And then I said Seth Rollins was going to eventually dethrone Gunther, whether it be at Elimination Chamber or it be before Elimination Chamber. Obviously, this was like separate to my whole predictions video because I dropped it like weeks afterwards. But I had thought that that would eventually lead to Seth Rollins versus CM Punk at WrestleMania, because obviously CM Punk said, I'm not going after you anymore because you don't have anything that I need. You don't have the World Heavyweight title. Last year you had it, so I felt like you were a target. This year you don't have anything, so I don't really care to go after you. So now when I see CM Punk, because Seth Rollins just started attacking him, he's like, oh, well, let me keep going after him. I don't fully understand it. I feel like a more mature CM Punk, which he kind of tries to make himself be in a sense, he would have just ignored Seth Rollins, but then again, he kind of did also go Logan Paul, so maybe he wouldn't have ignored him. I don't know. I just would have figured that he would have ignored him, and then we would have gotten CM Punk trying to get maybe out there, like, I don't know, maybe trying to find his way to weasel into the WWE Championship match. But if you have Seth Rollins with gold, now CM Punk is more likely to go after him, and that would have been a really big storyline going into WrestleMania. We could have finally seen these two have a match together. Well, not finally seen these two have a match together, but seen CM Punk potentially main event WrestleMania, seeing these guys have their big WrestleMania match they're supposed to have at WrestleMania 40. I would have loved to have seen that. Now you're adding in Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns makes a lot more sense now being in this match because of the fact that, you know, if let's say that Seth does double curb stomp Roman Reigns and then curb stomps him again on the steel steps. Now Roman going after Seth makes even more sense because even though Drew is, you know, speaking down on him and speaking to his wise man crazy and speaking and going after his family, Roman's like, I can take everything from Seth, which he's always been focused on Seth because of what Seth did to him 10 years ago. So it makes so much sense for him to go after him and try to take everything from him the way that Seth tried to take it. Well, the way Seth took everything from him, he took his family, he took the Shield. Then he tried, then he took everything last year with Cody Rhodes. And I think that would have been a really cool storyline going into this year that Roman was going to try to take everything back from Seth. CM Punk just wanted to get finally get his revenge on Seth for everything that's happened between these two. And Seth would have just been, you know, having a great feud against two guys that he has so much history with. I thought it would have been a really good WrestleMania main event. If it does main event this year, I'm going to be kind of annoyed with the fact that it doesn't have a World Heavyweight title onto it. Unless, you know, somehow Seth Rollins wins or Punk wins or Roman beats Gunther before WrestleMania. But then what the heck do you do with Jey Uso? Does he get involved in the match somehow too? Then it'd just be too much people in my opinion. But I would have loved to have seen that going into WrestleMania. I think it would have been a really good main event match. I think you could have even made a great argument that it should main event night 2 over Cody and Cena. They should main event night 1. Although I guess it's his Cena's retirement year, so there is that. But heck, I would have picked Roman versus Seth versus Punk with the World Heavyweight title on the line over Cena versus Cody, in my opinion. So again, I don't have an issue with Jey winning the Royal Rumble. had this been a much better storyline. I think Jay's been carrying the heck out of it. I think Gunther has been the snooze fest of this entire storyline. I think he's just, in my opinion, like I said, he's just one of the most boring wrestlers on the roster. Jay's been doing his things though. 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet. Oh my gosh, that goes so hard, man. I'm glad that he incorporated that into his whole promos. But yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I'm happy that Jay won it. I just wonder if there was better decisions that we could have had going into WrestleMania is all. But speaking of something else going into WrestleMania, Jade is likely going to be having a match there with Naomi, or is Jade going to be potentially getting involved in that Bianca triple threat match? So this past Friday night on SmackDown, we seen that Jade was talking about the whole situation with Naomi. She's talking to Kathy Kelly about it. And then she said eventually something that was interesting, that she couldn't believe that Bianca was working with Naomi. She found that to be very odd. Well, so did Ash. Not Bianca working with Naomi. Jade finding it odd that Bianca was working with Naomi because Bianca didn't know that Jade attacked her. Or did she? Did Bianca actually know this entire time that Naomi attacked Jade? Because it just feels so weird for Jade to say that. Like, because obviously Jade should have known. I mean, was she not watching SmackDown that Bianca didn't know that Naomi attacked Jade? Because Jade said that she's seen Naomi after she got pushed off the whatever. Well, she didn't say pushed off the building. She said pushed onto the car. But obviously, she got pushed off a building. Because I've landed on a car before off a building. That's how that looks. I lived, obviously. Thank you. But if you just get if you're just fighting someone, you get pushed onto a car. Do you know what kind of brute force you'd have to be pushed with to make an indent in a car? It's a lot of force. Go look at Braun Breaker and what he did to Ricochet. Yeah, you're gonna he didn't even he didn't overly dent the car. Jade did. It looked like she got just power bombed off the top of the building. So it's if Bianca is still involved in this, which I don't believe she is. I do not think Bianca's still involved in this. If she is though, I really hope she's not. I really hope we're not doing this because there's just no need for this. Keep Bianca out of the storyline. I don't know why Jade is confused about that though. Is there the potential though where they still do Bianca and Jade at WrestleMania? Maybe they have Jade versus Rhea at Saturday night's main event, or at a random Monday Night Raw going into WrestleMania. Jade gets involved in the match to keep Bianca from winning, and then this sets up Jade and Bianca at WrestleMania. Maybe it happens like 3-4 weeks before WrestleMania, so that you're able to have time to at least build upon that storyline. I just don't want that though. I don't need it. I think it's just, at this point, it's just, we're way past Jade and Bianca now, I feel. And it's crazy because it barely happened 2 weeks ago, but we're way past this. Jade and Bianca can have a much better storyline going into WrestleMania next year. They could have a much better storyline going into SummerSlam of this year. I just say keep Bianca out of it. Well, keep her in it in the sense that keep bringing her up and all this stuff. But keep her out of it in the sense of that she's the one who actually did it. I don't think it's needed. I just like Bianca. I mean, I like Jade and Naomi, and I like the fact that Naomi may actually have partners here, because I don't think that Jade is a part of this. I mean, Bianca's a part of this, but I do think there might be the Tongan twins at play. Okay, here we go. It's Stephanie Kaz and Ashley Kona Manu Kaniyu, I think is how you pronounce that. My bad if I'm mispronouncing that. I am so sorry. I tried to find a pronunciation thing and it just did not give me the right thing. But they are Tongan twins. They're the very first female Tongans to be in a wrestling ring. I don't know if they have relation to the bloodline. I tried checking it out. I didn't find anything about it. It just says that they are second generation Tongan Americans with parents migrating from Tonga to the Bay Area, settling in Vallejo. Doesn't say anything about them being related to Jay's and Jimmy's and Roman's and all them's bloodline. But they were trained by Rikishi, and they are currently free agents as well. They've even been spotted around. They've even been spotted around the WWE Performance Center. So maybe instead of Nia getting a bloodline, which I would have been cool with, it would have been really cool to see Nia with the Tonga twins and all that stuff. Would have been absolutely phenomenal. Maybe instead of Nia getting them, maybe it's going to be Naomi getting them. If they are if they aren't a part of the Anoa'i family tree and all that stuff, maybe you're going with, well, then again, the Tongans aren't either, I think. No, I think they're like distant relatives. Maybe you're gonna go with like Bloodline by association. I don't know what their name would be. Cause you have Bloodline 2.0. We could do Bloodline 3.0 or Bloodline women's version. Bloodline, I don't know, man. Whatever you want to call it. But I mean, Naomi is technically a part of the family by being married into the family. So I could see them doing something here, man. I could really, really see them doing it. And honestly, I'm not mad at it if Naomi was the one that went after Jade, but had the Tongan twins to help her. And the only reason that Jade couldn't see them is because, like, just like me when I fell off that freaking roof onto the car, I could only see in front of me because my vision was so blurry. Probably the same thing for her. She could only see what's in front of her, so she could only see Naomi. If the Tongan twins ran off to, like, the right or the left, she wouldn't be able to see them at all. I love that storyline instead of instead of Bianca is involved in this, because it just doesn't really make much sense. It doesn't really make much sense to do it. If you were gonna do it, you would have at least hinted at it a little better. Yeah, I just like Naomi, Tongan twins going after Jade. Now, if you want to say, oh, well, did Bianca hire the Tongan twins? Or maybe like Naomi told Bianca to entrust her with it, that she's got help and all that stuff. But then you're gonna have like Bianca with Naomi with the Tongan twins. That's just really, really weird in my opinion. Nah, I wouldn't have done that. I would just personally do Naomi got the Tongan twins, and she just does not like Jade for riding Bianca's coattails, and she's still going to try to continue getting close to Bianca, and they're going to do like this whole Mariah made Toni Storm-esque storyline between Bianca and Naomi. Out of the Tonga twins, it's a little different. I really, really love that in my opinion. I think that'd be so much better. But speaking of some SmackDown superstars, let's go ahead and get into the new tag team champions of the Street Profits. I guess I kind of spoiled that, but if you haven't seen this past Friday Night SmackDown, the Street Profits did defeat DIY in the main event for the Tag Team Championship, and I'm really confused on why that happened. Why did we have the Street Profits defeat the DIY when we just were setting up to Pretty Deadly being the number one contenders, and we had this whole storyline of Pretty Deadly being manipulated by DIY, then eventually breaking away from that manipulation, and it looked like they were going to be the guys to dethrone DIY. I would have gone with that storyline instead. Also, why are there so many title belts switching right now? We had DIY lose theirs. We have Rhea lose hers. It's very possible the War Raiders might lose theirs before WrestleMania. Heck, even Chelsea or Lyra could lose theirs before WrestleMania. So many title belts just switching. I think even there's a real possibility that Braun Breaker might lose his to Finn Balor, although that's okay, let me not say a real possibility. It's probably very unlikely that Finn Balor actually beats Braun Breaker unless he brings the Demon gimmick out. But then again, the Demon gimmick got beat by Edge, so maybe not. But yeah, I wouldn't have gone away from that storyline. I would have had Pretty Deadly win against DIY instead, and then had Pretty Deadly lose to the Street Profits. That would have been just much better in my opinion. Maybe you didn't want the Street Profits to lose. Maybe you didn't want them to get like pinned, but you could have easily just found some shenanigan way for them to win. You could have had DIY to win by cheating or something like that. Could have had their foot on the rope. Could have had Street Profits' foot under the rope. Could have had Street Profits' foot on the rope. You could have had like a cheap roll-up or something like that. You did have it in the main event, though, so maybe you didn't want to do that. But then again, why the heck was that match in the main event to begin with? I thought it was a good match, but not really main event worthy in my opinion. I don't know. I would have had Charlotte's whole thing with B-Fab and then eventually Tiffany in the main event. Also, shout out to my girl B-Fab, man. Shout out to my girl B-Fab. She did her thing out there, bro. And I told y'all, man, I tried to freaking tell y'all, big push coming, or semi-big push coming for B-Fab this year. She killed it on the mic, too, man. I love these little backstage promos where everybody just walking into the ring. She absolutely dogged it out there, bro. I'm so happy for B-Fab, man. I really, really am. She just is absolutely amazing. I said her mic work is top tier. Her character work can use some work, but I think she has the mic skills to be able to, once she does find a really great character, it's just going to be amazing for her. And then her ring skills, she looks pretty dang good. she looked pretty dang good. She was keeping up with Charlotte for the most part. I do feel like there was a few times though where Charlotte was definitely carrying the match for sure. She was directing her and all that stuff, which is fine. You know, B-Fab's still pretty new in the ring. I just love this for B-Fab though, man. I'm so dang happy for her, man. I'm so glad. She's somebody that I've had faith in for a long time. It was really her and Swerve. I thought her and Swerve were gonna be two big things coming up from NXT. Maybe they would break away from Hit Row. Maybe you would have like B-Fab be his manager, but also be in the ring as well. Maybe they done some like little relationship thing with them. I don't really know, but I love this for B-Fab, man. I'm glad for her. Like I said, I'm glad for the tag team champions too. I'm glad for Street Profits, man. I think this was absolutely amazing. I'm glad that they all kind of broke away from each other to really find themselves and really kind of, you know, you nerd, hey, top of the morning, you nerd. I don't know what the heck that was. I be getting like random accents out of nowhere, man. It's crazy. But yeah, no, I'm happy for the Street Profits. I'm happy for B-Fab. I love seeing them both of them have successful nights. I just wish for the storyline though, Street Profits maybe had won at WrestleMania or one like after WrestleMania, like at Backlash, something like that. That would have been a lot better in my opinion. Or at least have like Pretty Deadly be in the match, man. You could have them at least be in the match, and then maybe they like DIY takes the pin from Street Profits or something like that, and then Pretty Deadly gets their opportunity again. I don't really know, because there's also the possibility that Pretty Deadly might even dethrone Street Profits very soon. That's like a lot of belief now by a lot of people that they're going to end up dethroning them soon. Hope that doesn't happen, but speaking of dethroning, let's go ahead and get into who will dethrone each and every one of the WWE champions. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into this, starting off with the women's tag team champions of Liv and Raquel. I think they're going to be facing Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross at WrestleMania. But wait, Ash, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross aren't a tag team, though. Well, listeners, I think Alexa Bliss is going to be the sixth member of the Wyatt Six. They've obviously been having this whole vignette go around every single time she's on the screen. You get the little flash of it, of like their symbol and all that stuff. Or like, usually it's like weird little things that relate to the Wyatt Six. Obviously Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross did have a past feud with each other, but they also had a past tag team with each other. They were a two-time tag team champion during the year 2020. I think that was the only time that I think it was just 2020. But they eventually lost those belts. Obviously, Alexa Bliss started getting warped in by The Fiend. This caused her and Nikki Cross to start feuding with each other. But I think now with at least with Nikki Cross under the Wyatt Six, are being warped by the Wyatt Six, potentially Alexa Bliss also still warped by them, or maybe even the leader of them. I think this is going to lead to them teaming together. And I also think that the Wyatt Six went to SmackDown with a purpose. A lot of us thought that they were going to go after Solo Sikoa for what he did to Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and all them. I think that was all just a ruse. I think that they were always going to be going after the Judgment Day. They just needed another woman on their team because obviously the Judgment Day had two women and they only had Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross can't take out Liv and Raquel. It's just not going to work. You go get Alexa Bliss, now it's 2-on-2. And I think Dominic Mysterio had a feeling like this was all coming. That's why he went to SmackDown. That's why he was talking to a lot of people there. All of us thought that, maybe Dom and Liv and Raquel were going to end up going to SmackDown. They were going to start, separating Liv and Rhea so we can run some other kind of feuds. But Liv was the champion around that time. Unless they were going to move Tiffany or Nia over to Raw, it wasn't going to happen. So I think Dominic Mysterio was going there on reconnaissance, trying to see what's happening. What's the word with the Wyatt Six? Remember, he had a talk with Chad Gable. Maybe Chad Gable was letting him know that they came after me for what I did. Now, you guys know what you did. You're going to have to watch your back. And I think that's why Dominic Mysterio also helped out Chad Gable and gave him some information about how to defeat luchadors, kind of like paying him back in a sense. And this would also explain why Dominic Mysterio is just pushing to get a new member, because he said it now more than like 4 or 5 times that we need a new member. And I understand from the sense of like, okay, you don't look as strong before or you don't look as strong now because before you had JD, so it was 4, or you had 6 people in your group, now you only have 5 people in your group. You can't really outnumber everybody, although you do have more numbers than everybody. But maybe Dominic Mysterio is looking at it and saying, no, we need another member, not for others, but for the Wyatt Six. They have 4 guys. We only have 3 guys now. What are we going to do against them if they do come our way? Finn's now also getting involved in the whole Braun Breaker stuff, so there's potential that he may be sidetracked a little bit. I think maybe even the Wyatt Six pop up during this Braun Breaker Finn Balor match, potentially after the match. But I think the Wyatt Six are going to be going after them. I do also believe, though, that the Judgment Day are going to be adding another member in one Malachi Black. I don't know why he would join the group other than, just they need a fourth member and this would be a kind of cool way to bring him in. Maybe even like play like the lone wolf in their group where he does help them out because, he has ties to Finn Balor and all them. Or maybe he just, no, my bad. He has ties to Finn Balor in them, so like he decides to help them out, but he's not really ever like around the group until he's actually needed to be in the group. I think Finn Balor would end up, though, having a match with Uncle Howdy. I think Malachi/Aleister Black, he'll be working with Dom and Carlito to have their match against Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, and Eric Rowan. You would have Finn Balor versus Uncle Howdy, and kind of like a callback to Finn Balor versus Bray. We sadly never got that Demon Balor versus The Fiend. We were supposed to get it. It was all the rumors, all the reports that we were supposed to get in that match, and then Finn Balor went away for a while. Not to prison by anything like that. He ain't Dominic Mysterio. Now, come on, man. But we could always call back to that and have Finn Balor have the Demon Finn Balor versus Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania. I think what you could even do is have the 6 men go against the other 6 men night 1 and have Liv and Raquel go against Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss night 1. And if you really want to have Finn Balor out of the group, you have all of them win, so Liv and Raquel retain, and then you have Finn lose night 2, and this kind of starts basically getting him pushed out of the group, and now Malachi Black's like the leader of the group or something like that. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think instead, Liv and Raquel are going to get dethroned by Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross at WrestleMania. This is going to help the group out a lot because they kind of do just look more or less like jobbers, so at least you put some gold on them. They look a lot more credible. And I would just love to see Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross get back together because they were a pretty cool tag team. And I would love to see Alexa Bliss with some more gold on her because she always looks good. She always looks good when she got gold, man. So, yeah. But on to the other tag team division of the Raw and SmackDown tag team divisions. I have a super big prediction that I think is going to come true. I think Fraxium dethrones both the Raw tag team champions and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions sometime this year. I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe WrestleMania, maybe post-WrestleMania, maybe like at a Backlash, something like that. I think it's going to happen, though. I think they're going to say, you know what? Our tag division is great on one show. Other show, it's not that great. And can we really focus on this tag division all dang year when we have all these other storylines going on? I don't think so. And I think they're gonna say, you know what? Let's just have one unified tag team championship, just like we have for the women's side of things. Maybe we break up some of these tag teams as well, and then we just start, having it go between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and we give Fraxium that opportunity to be the very first unified tag team champions. I guess they wouldn't be the first because you'd have Jay and you have Jay and Jimmy, but unifying the belts, you know what I mean? They'd be like the first unified tag team champions, and I would love to see that, to be honest, because I think Fraxium deserves it. They're not going to have much luck on the main roster because of the fact that there's just not really that many great tag teams there, and they're not really giving them the focus that NXT gives them. It's definitely just not going to work. So at least if we can give these guys something, I would love to see them be given the opportunity to be the unified tag team champion. I think they're both absolutely phenomenal. If we don't go in that direction, though, of having Fraxium be these guys, and instead we break them up, because we might possibly be breaking them up after Axiom appeared on the main roster, and then we had, my bad, Axiom appearing on the main roster, I think could lead to Nathan Frazier getting a bit jealous that he got there before Nathan did. Maybe we have them break up soon. I don't want to see it because I think they're just such an amazing team. But I think if we don't have Fraxium win, which I do think Fraxium are the guys, my backup plan would be the New Day to throw in the War Raiders and probably Pretty Deadly to throw the Street Profits. I would assume it goes that way, but I'm going to go with Fraxium winning both tag team belts and unifying all 3 belts. All right, so next up we have the Women's IC Champion of Lyra Valkyria, and before I said it was going to be Rhea Ripley, I even predicted at one point in time it was going to be Becky Lynch. They were going to run this feud back with each other. They didn't do that. Something just dropped over here on my side. My goodness, I don't know what the heck that was. I thought it was my PC or something like that. I was like, oh, I'm going to catch it. So I bolted for a second. I'm like, oh no. Pulling a Justin Jefferson right here. Got them great hands. But now I think it's going to be Roxanne Perez. I think they're going to be running this feud back on the main roster. I'm going to be super excited for it because it means that Roxanne Perez won't get pushed to the moon like some others do, and instead they take their time with her and they really allow her to show her greatness, which I'm super excited for because I think Roxanne Perez has superstar written all over her. She is my favorite wrestler right now in WWE/NXT. She is just absolutely phenomenal. Face work, heel work, mic work, character work, ring work. I think she has every single thing you can want. Charisma as well. and this feud is just gonna cook, man, because last time in NXT it was absolutely top tier. It's one of the best feuds in NXT. Really should have main event stand and deliver. I hope this time it does get to main event, maybe like a Monday Night Raw or something. It probably won't be able to main event a PLE because they never let the mid cards do that. But if they did, though, if they had like a hot enough feud going into like a PLE, I would absolutely love to see these two main eventing a PLE and just putting on an absolute show. I think they are both two of the best wrestlers on the women's roster right now. A lot of people don't give Lyra Valkyria enough credit. I'm not like a super mega fan of Lyra Valkyria by any means, but I do see the talent that she does have, and a lot of people that overlook her, I think that she doesn't have the aura, I will say that, but discrediting her like ring work and her mic work, that's a little crazy. I think her mic work is decent. I think her ring work is some of the best on the roster. Speaking of some character work, though, let's go on to that U.S. Women's Championship. Oh my goodness, man. I hate the fact that this is what we did with Alba Fire and we put her in Chelsea Green's security guard group. It was supposed to be Blair Davenport, but then Blair ended up getting fired. So I guess WWE said, okay, who's the next goth chick we have on our roster? Let's go put her instead. Fans will never know the difference. Oh my gosh, man. So I'm going to go with Alba Fire dethroning Chelsea Green. That's what my head, no, that's what my heart says. My head don't say that at all, but I don't want to listen to my head because my head says Zelina Vega at WrestleMania. I hope that we did not do this whole little group just for Chelsea Green to lose the belt that dang quickly. I hope this group gets to go a little bit longer now, and I hope Alba Fire gets to dethrone her at like Clash of the Castle or something like that, or maybe like a little bit more down the line. I just want to see it be Alba Fire though. Piper Nivens, I would love for it to be Piper Nivens as well. I think both of them are absolutely stars. I think they could both be mid-card, they could be like that mid-card version of like the Miz or something like that and just be multiple time mid-card champions. Although I believe Alba Fire has everything to be the face of the women's division. She is one of the best wrestlers on the roster. I'm not even saying that because I'm glazing. I'm saying that because I think she actually is one of the best women's wrestlers on the roster. Look at her in NXT, look at her in NXT UK, look at her in the few matches they've actually given her on the main roster. She looks phenomenal. She looks like one of the best wrestlers. Her mic work really dang good. Her character work is just as good in my opinion. And I would love to see her get a shot like to be the top woman in WWE. Probably never gonna happen though because they already have their set picks. So kind of really wanted WWE to release Alba Fire so she can go to AEW, potentially get that push, or go to like a Ring of Honor or TNA and get that push. But if we're going to do something with Alba Fire, I want her to win the United States Championship. Although I would love for Zelina to get that belt as well because I think Zelina is just as talented as Alba Fire. Heck, I actually think she's a bit more talented than Alba Fire in my opinion. But sadly, both of these women are just not going to be used. But one of them are going to be getting that United States Champion. And like I said, I'm going with my heart. I'm going with Alba Fire. And I just pointed out my dang stomach, not my heart. My heart's over here, not down here. Although my heart is in my tummy as well. Oh, man, that's how my girl got to my heart. She got to my tummy. All right, so next up, we have the IC Championship. And, whoo, boy, has WWE been missing this guy, the czar of WWE. I think he's going to be the one dethroning one Braun Breaker. That's right. Ilya Dragunov, I think, dethrones Braun Breaker the Raw after WrestleMania. I do believe he's going to be holding that belt. I don't think Finn Balor is going to get it. I think Braun's going to be holding it until WrestleMania, wins a match there. Next night on Raw, Ilya Dragunov makes a return and challenges him for the Intercontinental Championship. And this is where I see Braun Breaker potentially losing to Ilya Dragunov. We know that they've had amazing matches. See, I was going to say matches. I was like, wait, hold on. Matches doesn't sound right. But no, battles didn't sound right either. They're not out here going some, let's battle, go Charizard, go Venusaur. Like, no, they're not Pokemon trainers. Oh my goodness, man. Although I think if Ilya Dragunov was a Pokemon trainer, he would probably use himself like a Houndoom or something like that. No, that would probably be like Braun Breaker. I think Ilya Dragunov, if he was a Pokemon trainer, he probably would use like a, I'm going to go with like a Vigoroth or something like that. Probably not a Slaking because it's just a little too lazy. Always got the little, it's got that ability, that makes it like slack off every turn. Nah, but a Vigoroth though, a Vigoroth is for him. Man, that's a good one right there. You know what? Now I think about it, Braun Breaker might not use a Houndoom. Like it's a dog, but it's not like that's a hound though. It's not a dog. If he's gonna go for a dog, he's probably gonna use my dog Stoutland. Yeah, that fits Braun Breaker right there. Oh man, we gotta make a wrestlers get Pokemon video coming soon. But I think Ilya Dragunov does defeat one Braun Breaker, and this eventually pushes Braun Breaker Maybe over to SmackDown, because in a minute I'm gonna say it, but I'm just gonna say it now. I think the World Heavyweight title and the WWE Championship are gonna swap places. I think whoever wins the WWE, I think if Jay does win the World Heavyweight Championship, he's likely gonna go to SmackDown. I think it just kind of fits him better. And I think if John Cena does win the WWE Undisputed Championship, he'll go to Raw, because Raw is gonna want him a lot more. So yeah, and I think if Ilya wins, he'll probably remain on Raw because they're gonna want to push him a bit more, because he is a future star of the company. But there is also a real possibility that they swap the IC and United States titles. But speaking of the US title, LA Knight is the current holder, and I do think Carmelo Hayes is the guy to dethrone him. I want to see the world where we get Carmelo Hayes with the United States Championship, and he goes over to Monday Night Raw, maybe even swap the US and IC titles, and we get Monday Night Melo. I am all here for that. It'd be so dang phenomenal. Monday Night Melo is just... I can't believe they did not do it, man. How do you miss that right there? I'm keeping the hat off. It keeps falling, man. I'm wearing a hood. My hair's not holding on to it today, man. I love my hat, but I can't do it. Can't keep leaning over, man. I keep fighting with this dang hat. But yeah, I think Carmelo Hayes is going to be dethroning LA Knight at WrestleMania. I really wanted to happen. I don't think LA Knight is a guy to fix the title. I think Carmelo Hayes could potentially bring some life back to it, similar to how Austin Theories did with the whole selfie gimmick. I could see Melo bringing it back as well. It won't be prestigious by any means. I think it's going to take like a really big superstar to do that, but I could see Carmelo Hayes at least doing a little something with the belt. All right, got my hat back. I feel like Luffy, man. I just, without it, don't feel right, man. I feel kind of like nude. It just, nope. Got to get my hat back. But let's go on to the top belt, starting off with the WWE Women's Champion of One, Tiffany Stratton. I do believe she's getting dethroned by Charlotte Flair. There is no way that I can see a world where WWE still thinks, after this current storyline and after just what she's done since winning the belt, that Tiffany Stratton was 100% ready to be champion. I think Tiffany Stratton has a bright future. She's somebody that I think she indeed does have one of the prettiest moonsaults on the dang roster. I think her character work last year was a lot better than it currently is this year, including her mic work last year. I feel like this current character is just not working, in my opinion. It just doesn't... I don't feel Tiffany Stratton with this gimmick, which is crazy because she's a blonde. You would think just playing a blonde, or I guess playing Paris Hilton would be good for a blonde, but she doesn't feel like this. It doesn't feel like her. You know, like all this stuff. I don't know. It's just not. It's not giving it to me. So I think Charlotte Flair is going to be dethroning Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania this year. Eventually, I can see Tiffany Stratton getting that belt back, maybe like sometime down the line or sometime next year. Maybe she goes to the mid-card and she wins a belt there, kind of continue to work on the character work more, finding who her character truly is. Similar to Damian Priest in a sense, where it felt like, you know, the character was something that you could understand, but you knew that it wasn't him. He was kind of putting on a bit of a show. I think that would really help for Tiffany Stratton to potentially get back to the character she first had when she came onto the main roster. That one was a lot better than this current one now. It's not doing it for me. But on the other side of things, on the Monday Night Raw side of things, to be specific, we have Io Sky, and we can go in two directions here, because little old me, I got me a little old theory. Okay, so I have not purchased 2K25 because I refuse to purchase this game. I'm going to wait for it to go on sale. But I have seen clips, which, by the way, Jacob Fatu is a 1 out of 5 on the mic, and they have Nikita Lyons a 3 out of 5. They have Ethan Page a 2 out of 5. They have Charlotte. They have Chelsea Green a 2 out of 5. They have, this is all My GM mode stuff, by the way. They have some sick ratings for this My GM mode, man. Oh my goodness. It is awful. Actually, there's another one. Let me grab this picture real quick, because I think this one might have been even worse. They have Xavier Woods as a 5 out of 5 on the mic. Not only that, he can change to the giant class. Xavier Woods is like 5'4". How is he changing to the giant class? What, he ain't no dang giant. That's like a 5'4" high schooler playing center and then gets to the pros and says, "Hey, yo, coach, can I play center?" No, dude, you're 5'4". Like, my goodness, no, man. My GM mode is a shit show this year. Oh, my gosh, man. I'm not going to be happy playing it. I probably won't even get 2K25, to be honest. It just looks so dang bad, in my opinion. And the only mode I play is My GM mode. It just looks awful. So in My GM mode, though, there's a faces and heels icons. And for damage control, Kairi Sane, Io, and Dakota Kai are all faces, but Asuka's a heel. Now, this means either one of two things. either A, 2K just does not watch wrestling, which is very possible with some of these dang ratings, or B, WWE fed them a little bit of info and said, make her a heel. Just make her a heel. WWE 2K's like, why? Isn't she with damage control? Just make her a heel because we said so. Okay, sure, Triple H, sure, WWE, whatever you say, man. When the fans come complaining, don't at least take the blame for it. I think WWE might have been hinting at potentially Asuka still being a heel. Maybe Io gives her a match when Asuka returns, and then she turns heel after the match, or Io welcomes Asuka back, and then Asuka turns on Io during like that whole little segment between them, and this leads to a match between Io and Asuka. I think that is very possible, because the only other reason I could see is that 2K is just saying, okay, well, Asuka hasn't been here for a year, but when she was here last, she was a heel. But Damage Control are all faces, so why would you make her a heel and not the rest of them heels? That doesn't make any sense to me. So I think that could be a case. If that is the case, then I think Io loses it to Asuka. If not, I think Io loses it to Bianca, and we go into the Bianca Naomi storyline. And I like that one a lot more. I like Bianca winning it at WrestleMania, and then potentially getting Damage Control back to being heels. Maybe they move over to SmackDown. Maybe even have Io dethrone Charlotte at some point. And then you have Bianca winning it, staying on Raw. You move Naomi and potentially the Tongan twins over to Raw, and we push this big old storyline that I think could challenge Toni Storm and Mariah May for the best storyline of all time in wrestling. I would have loved to see that. I also love that if Io Sky does get turned on by Asuka, because then it kind of just sells that, hey, but Theory was right. But I'm going to go with Bianca dethroning Io. I just want to throw that out there for any of y'all that maybe want to make predictions. Now let's go ahead and go on over to the main card. I mean, the male's main champions of Gunther and Cody Rhodes, who we're going to keep this short and simple, all right? Jey Uso and John Cena are dethroning them respectively. Respectively? Is the word I'm looking for? I think that's the word I'm looking for. Whatever. I think that's what I'm looking for. But John Cena and Jey Uso are dethroning them, man. It makes no sense for Jey Uso to win the Royal Rumble, go through all this stuff, and have Gunther win. Unpredictability is great. Dumb unpredictability, but like when it's dumb though, it's not great. And John Cena would literally just throw this whole entire heel turn away if he did not win at WrestleMania. And I also think that WWE is potentially gonna have John Cena come over to the main, or come over to Raw, and then have Jey Uso go over to SmackDown. So yeah, I think Netflix wants John Cena. I think there's a reason why Netflix isn't really caring about this World Heavyweight Championship storyline being that great, because they know they're going to get John Cena anyway. So it's like, yeah, it's not that great, but we're about to get one of the greatest, and we're going to be getting not only one of the greatest, but also one of the most popular in John Cena. And I think they're going to send Jey Uso over to SmackDown. I think Gunther will go over to SmackDown. I think Gunther might stay on Raw. I think Cody and them will come over to Raw, and they're probably going to hit SmackDown, because SmackDown's been, at least going into WrestleMania, it's been a lot better than Raw has as of recent. The only thing that Raw really has is the Punk, Seth, Roman storyline. They don't really have much else there. So I think they're going to have a lot of these guys move on over from SmackDown to Raw. So I think John Cena is going to be one of those guys, and he's going to take that WWE Championship with them. And then Jey Uso will take the WWE World Heavyweight Championship on over to SmackDown. Just makes the most sense in my opinion. If Gunther was to win, I really don't know what the heck you do next with Gunther. Like, I've tried to think what you could do. What are you going to have, Ilya dethrone him? I don't think Ilya's ready to be the World Heavyweight Champion yet. What are you going to have, Braun Breaker dethrone him? I don't think Braun Breaker's ready to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion yet either. But you could potentially have Braun Breaker take it from Jey Uso. But I don't like that either. But I do think Braun could potentially move on over to SmackDown as well. And maybe that's the reason why he would lose, or he would drop the title to Ilya, and why Gunther would drop the title to Jey. Maybe you could even have Gunther and Ilya eventually feuding as well on Raw. Maybe we have, Gunther decides to get back in the IC title picture, and he wants to get that belt back, so he's going after Ilya, and then like this whole three match feud or something like that. I would love to see that. That'd be so dang good in my opinion. And if you want to have Ilya go over Gunther in that feud, I think you could. But yeah, no, I couldn't see what else Gunther could do. I guess Gunther could do. No, Gunther couldn't do that if he had the World Heavyweight title. So no, it wouldn't make any sense for him to keep it. And if you had Cody win, what do you do with John Cena? Like literally, you had him turn heel for what? So no, John Cena has to win that belt, and Jey Uso has to win the belt. But speaking of belts, though, let's go ahead and talk about the AEW International belts and this AEW International Cup tournament that's going to be heading into Dynasty. So going into Dynasty, we have a few pretty big storylines and one just pretty good match. I think Orange Cassidy is the odd man out here. There's no way he's winning this Fatal 4-Way. It's going to be happening on Dynamite next Wednesday. I don't think that they're really going to do Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega when you have potentially Kenny Omega versus Mark Davis, which has a really good storyline there because of the fact that Mark Davis was kind of involved in the whole Don Callis. He is still involved in the Don Callis thing, and then you had him getting involved in the Will Ospreay match. So you can kind of just end that whole entire thing by letting us know what the heck is going on with Mark Davis. I don't think it needs to be dragged out like 4 or 5 months. You could easily just let us know this really early, unless you have like some super big storyline there. But I don't think Mark Davis is the guy you're doing that with, in my opinion. He's just not that big of a star to do that. Heck, I don't even think he's a big enough of a star to really be dragging it out this long. But for some reason we have, so whatever. Speedball Mike Bailey would be a really good one as well, just because of the fact that he's like your new big signing. Speedball and Kenny Omega would put on a top tier match. So if you really, really want to go in that direction, you could go in that direction. But I think the best one to go with is Ricochet. I think Ricochet is not only going to give you an amazing feud going into Dynasty because he can actually talk on the mic as a heel. I know a lot of people want to act like he can't, but no, this guy can. Heck, I even made a top 10 the other day on Blue Sky, and someone was like, "You got to add Ricochet to this," and I'm like, Ricochet in a top 10 promo? I would have never thought that. So yeah, I think Ricochet could really carry this feud. Well, not really carry the feud in a sense, but I think he could do his part in carrying the feud. And the match, they're just gonna absolutely kill it, man. That's gonna be a top tier match. I hope. I said the same thing about Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita, but it didn't happen. But I think this would be like a really good just one-off match for Kenny Omega to do before Kazuchika Okada at Double or Nothing, which I'm assuming it's going to be happening at Double or Nothing, and then eventually having Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay or something like that at All In. Heck, maybe even run back Kenny Omega versus Ricochet one more time before you do Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, because then you could do Ricochet versus versus Will Ospreay eventually if you really want to run that one back as well, which I do think we need to run that one back, heel versus face this time. I would love to see how that storyline would play out. We could even get like multiple matches in there, but I would love to see Ricochet be the guy to win this International Cup, so it shows that we're still doing something with Ricochet. We still have a lot of belief in Ricochet. Heck, maybe even put him into the Owen Hart Cup. Into the Owen Hart Cup tournament afterwards if you really, really want to. I don't personally have him there, but I think that could also be a thing you could do with him. I just want to see something good happen with Ricochet this year because he's shown the world a lot. You know, he's proved a lot of people wrong, man. I think he's a guy that really should continue to get pushed by AEW, and they should not drop the ball with him by just letting him fall down the card. I like the fact that even Swerve was bigging him up as well and telling him that if you want to run this back, we can run this back. Kind of showing that, you know, that AEW does want everybody to remember Ricochet because he's not a guy that just forget about. He's not a guy that we're just going to throw away. I love that. I love that they're still even using Harley Cameron as well because she's also someone I believe has so much talent, and you just shouldn't throw her away because she's going to do good wherever you put her at. You could even make her the AEW World Champion, and I think she would do absolutely phenomenal character work with it. Probably would lose it quick, but at least do phenomenal character work with it. So I would go with Ricochet. I'm not mad if Speedball Mike Bailey does win, though. I think it's an absolutely amazing match, regardless of whether Speedball wins, Ricochet wins, or heck, even Orange Cassidy wins, because he's also a great ring worker as well. I would just love to see Ricochet, though. But speaking of that Owen Hart Cup tournament, let's go ahead and end things off with it, shall we? Okay, so since the Owen Hart Cup's inception in 2022, the first 2 years, it was only about getting a belt. That's why the first two winners, Adam Cole and Ricky Starks, Britt Baker and Willow Nightingale, did not go to any big shows to go face off against the champions. Over the past year, though, this is when we started switching things up. Now we have Bryan Danielson face Swerve Strickland at All In. Now we have Mariah May face Toni Storm at All In. So obviously this year we're going to continue that whole formula. As we've seen, Will Ospreay and Jay White said they're going to be the guys winning it to go on to face Jon Moxley or whoever's holding the belt at All In. So who the heck could win this year? Well, we know for the male side of things, we already have Will Ospreay and Jay White. I think that's great. I think you're doing something with them. You're keeping them, you know, you're still keeping their names in big stuff so that they don't get lost in the sauce. I think there's a potential where Speedball Mike Bailey could enter this tournament as well. I think he's a guy that they're going to want to continue to show off more and more and more so that he doesn't get lost either, because he's someone that definitely can get lost if you don't put him in enough matches. If you try to put Speedball Mike Bailey in the storylines, It's not going to work. His mic work is just not there. He's not the guy that can really carry a storyline. Someone that needs to be carried in a storyline, unless maybe you turn him heel and it's a Ricochet situation where he was actually good on the mic. He just sucked as a face. Then there's always that, but I don't think you want to do that anytime soon. Another guy who could be in this, though, is Gabe Kidd. I think I would love for AEW to bring Gabe Kidd over for this tournament and see how the crowd continues to react to him, because the last time he was in AEW, he faced a Butcher. Not really the most amazing match, but if you put him in this Owen Hart Cup tournament, I think this does a lot more for him, and he could, potentially be a guy that AEW says, you know what, the crowd loves you, let's bring you over. I personally am going to be real with you. I don't see much in Gabe Kidd. I don't really like Gabe Kidd that much. I would rather Zack Sabre come to AEW over Gabe Kidd. I think Gabe would do probably a lot better just staying in New Japan rather than coming over to AEW. Maybe go like a Ring of Honor or something like that. I'm just not the biggest fan of him. I'm going to be honest with you. He kind of just feels like a profanity merchant. I think his matches are cool. I don't think he's a bad ring worker by any means. I just think that he doesn't really offer much on the mic that AEW doesn't already have. You want somebody who's a profanity merchant, just go get the Acclaimed. You could do that. I'm cool off of Gabe Kidd. But if he does end up in the tournament, maybe maybe the rest of the fans really like him, and maybe he does turn a few heads. I think next person, speaking of turning a few heads, Konosuke Takeshita will also be in this tournament. I want to see this guy punching everybody, or I don't really know if you call it a punch, because he's kind of just like throwing his forearm into you. Is that a punch? Do we call it a punch? Let's call it a punch. I think Konosuke Takeshita should be in the tournament as well. We should not drop the ball with him either. We should continue putting him in big matches so that, he, like Will Ospreay, like Jay White, won't get lost in the sauce. I also think that we should not turn him face. And maybe this should be kind of like the last, straw, though, for Don Callis to see that if Konosuke Takeshita is the guy, put him in this tournament, and if he doesn't work out, then maybe he cuts him loose, and, we keep Konosuke Takeshita still as a heel, though. I still love him as a heel. I think he's so much better there. But if he does turn into a face, maybe we can see what we have with him as a face as well. And then the last two guys would be Mordos and Brian Keith. I think they'll kind of just be here to eat a pin or something like that. I would love it, though, because it does show off Mordos, and maybe we could see more of Harley Graham with Mordos, and we're doing this whole Beauty and the Beast kind of storyline with them. I would love to see that for them. Maybe eventually Mordos gets some kind of like TNT gold around him or something like that. Harley gets some kind of gold around her. Maybe Harley helps Mordos get some gold. And for Brian Keith, it's just showing him off. That's all it really is. Like I said, eating a pin, but also just showing him off. It's just, I really do want Brian Keith to get pushed already. I hope it does happen soon, because I do, like I've said many, many times now, this guy is a star. This guy is somebody that has mid-card star just written all over him. I kind of hate that the belts are getting unified potentially, but if it does stay as a mid-card belt, and I think this would really help Brian Keith out, because he could be a guy that could get maybe like 2 or 3 of them potential AEW Intercontinental belts. But now let's head on over to the women's side of things, but before we do jump over the women's side of things, though, I forgot to mention the fact that there's an 8th person in the tournament, Darby Allin. I completely forgot about it because I skipped over him because I was going to say him last, but I think Darby Allin wins this tournament because the past 2 years, the Owen Hart Cup tournament winner went on to All In to win, and I think they're going to continue that trend this year, especially after having your cash-in fail. You kind of already slapped away your Casino Gauntlet winner. Can you really afford to slap away both of your Owen Hart Cup tournament winners? Maybe you have one of the two win it, but I think they both will win it, and I think Darby Allin is going to be the guy. I also do not think that Swerve Strickland is going to be dethroning Jon Moxley now. I said it last episode that I would love for it to be Swerve Strickland, but that was with my heart. My head's telling me that they're still running this Darby Allin storyline. I think maybe Swerve can get the belt off of Darby at some point later on. But I think Darby Allin is going to be the guy to get the belt off of Jon Moxley. It's going to be a big old feel-good moment for Darby Allin. They're wanting to do that storyline for some reason. I could even see a world where Darby Allin is forced to run the gauntlet. My bad. I can see a world where Jon Moxley said that he's going to put Darby Allin through hell, like Gunther said to Jay, and then Darby has to like run the gauntlet against Wheeler, Pac, and Claudio, and like one night face all 3 of them. If he wins, then he gets to face Jon Moxley at All In. I think Wheeler Yuta would be at the last opponent. He's just going to lay down for Darby Allin to pin him. Oh man, I don't want to see it, but I think it's going to happen. I think I think AEW is gonna do it. They're gonna say, you know what? We started the storyline with Darby Allin. Let's end it with Darby Allin. Let's just get past this dang storyline now. Swerve is great. Swerve can win it later on. I hate that's gonna happen to Swerve, but I can see it happening. I just don't, because I don't see AEW saying, let's have our Casino Gauntlet winner and All In and Owen Hart Cup tournament winner lose within like the span of like 3-4 months. There's no way they're going to be doing that. So yeah, no, I think Darby Allin does win it. But now let's get on to the women's side of things. All right, so for the women's side of things, we gonna say her name and she appears. I believe in Indy Hartwell. I believe in Indy Hartwell. Yeah, I got Indy Hartwell still joining AEW. I don't care, man. I'm going to keep just riding this out until it finally happens so I can say, yeah, I was right. Just like my Kyle Fletcher, Kenny Omega match, when that one happened to making a whole hour-long episode on it, I am making a whole hour-long episode when Indy Hartwell joins AEW because I'm going to keep riding this one, man. I have so much belief in Indy Hartwell. I think she's somebody that has so much promise that could potentially be like a mid-carder. She could eventually work in the tag team as well if they do add the tag team championships to the women's roster for AEW. I could see it happening, and I think Indy does really well in tag team. I like the tag team storyline with her and Candice LeRae before she did end up getting released by WWE. So I would love to see Indy Hartwell be used properly or be used by AEW. Now, some others I can see in this tournament. The others I can see in this tournament. One, Jamie Hayter. I think instead of going back to the Julia Hart story, they're going to have Jamie Hayter here. They're going to also likely have Queen Aminata. She's someone that they've been pushing for a minute now as well. She's taking a few losses here and there, but she's also taking a few wins as well. I think they're going to probably kind of push her. And she's someone who can give any other woman like a really good match as well. So, yeah, she might even be able to win a match. Maybe she doesn't win the whole entire thing. Maybe she wins a match. I could see Harley Cameron being in this. I think she does probably need to be in it. It's very similar to, like I said, with Will Ospreay and Jay White. She's one of your superstars right now, or one of your stars at least. You need to keep her around, AEW. You cannot have her fall off. I think Willow Nightingale is also going to be in this as well. There's no way you're not having Willow be in this tournament, right? Unless you're really going to be pushing like the women's tag gold early, there's no way you're removing her from this tournament. She has to be there, and if she's going to be there, then I think Chris Statlander is also going to be there as well. There's potentially going to be a match between them two to kind of like continue pushing their little storyline they have going right now of once being enemies, now being friends. I would love to see that. But I think the person who's going to be in it and who's going to win it, who's going to be, I guess, in it to win it, you could say, is going to be Athena. I think Athena loses her belt to Mercedes Moné at Dynasty. Since we are getting Mercedes versus Billy early, that means that we're likely going to get Mercedes versus Athena a lot earlier than I thought we were going to be getting it. I think this Dynasty card is going to be stacked. And I do see Athena losing to Mercedes Moné there to eventually start shifting her to the AEW women's roster to have her in the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Mark Briscoe, someone that raved about her before. He said that when she gets to the roster, she can take the roster by storm. He's someone that believed that she should have been called up by now, that she has future women's world champion written all over her. He thinks that she could be the face of the division, the face of the company, and so do I. I think every single thing that anybody says about Athena, every single good thing that anybody says about Athena is absolutely true. She got failed by WWE. She was an absolute star in NXT. The fact that she hasn't been on the AEW roster yet is kind of weird to me. I guess the only logic I could see is you didn't book Mark Briscoe like a superstar and he was your Ring of Honor champion. Could you do that with Athena as well? But could you also have Athena lose while being on such a dominant run? Now, I would love for Athena to get to 1,000 days as champion, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to have Athena dethrone Toni Storm at AEW's All In this year. Maybe she goes on a long reign then. Maybe she gets like a couple of 100 days then. I don't know. But then again, this is probably like the peak of Athena. So if you bring the minion gimmick up, I could see that running for a good 100, 200 days. I don't think it's going to go 1,000 days by any means, but I think they could run it for a long time. If they want to have her have the longest woman's reign in AEW, because I think Jade Cargill has it of like 500 something days, I could see a world where Athena holds that for 600 days. I would not be mad at it by any means. I think Athena is absolutely phenomenal. Her character work, mic work, ring work, charisma, everything. I think it's her. I think if you talk about the best woman in AEW, Toni Storm is definitely somebody to mention for sure. I think she's like easily in that top 2. But if you add Athena to the AEW roster, Athena's easily number 1. I love Toni Storm, don't get me wrong, but Athena clears her in the ring. Like, it's night and day between these two in the ring. Toni Storm cannot even they're not even in the same ballpark. And I love Toni again. I think her ring work is really good, but I think what carries Toni Storm is her mic work and her character work and her charisma. I think her ring work is probably about like a 3 out of 5. The rest of them are probably like a 5 out of 5. Athena is 5 out of 5 all around. She is just absolutely phenomenal. So I do think Athena would be the one to go on to face Toni Storm at All In. Sadly, if it is Darby versus Moxley, that means Athena versus Toni won't main event. Although I would love for them to do that and just have Darby versus Moxley open the show. I think it'd be much better, and then allow the women to finally main event a day pay-per-view. I just would absolutely love it, man. But that's going to be it for me, though, y'all. Definitely hope y'all did enjoy this episode. As always, if you did, you know everything's in the description. If you want to check stuff out, if you're on Spotify, following, hitting that rating button definitely does help out. If you're on YouTube, the likes and the subscribes also definitely help out as well. And if you want to listen to this on Spotify, like I said before, if you want to listen to this on Spotify and you're on YouTube, you know, hit the link in the description. If you want to listen to this on YouTube and you're on Spotify, link in the description. If you want to see any segments, they will all be on YouTube. But for now, y'all, that's it. I'm out. Peace. Have a great day, everybody. Bye. Yeah.